now in your administration, if today you were taken to FAS, how are you going to be doing things? Because this has become a very big issue. We've got over over 100 players who are playing outside the country. You know, some of them are doing well, some of them are not doing so fine. How are you going to do it as your administration? You employ that coach, you are the boss, you call the shots.
Big question that is. Mr. Piri, the current FAS constitution brought about the devolution of powers. Now, this devolution of powers gave some semblance of authority to regional bodies called provincial FAS offices. Now, these FAS offices, for me, where I'm sitting, they are moribund. The FAS offices do not function. They are dysfunctional, in short. Why do I say so? Because I'm saying a lot of things due to time. You see, because you want to know what we are going to do as new FAS when we win. Look, when you develop the functions of FAS, give them the much needed instruments that they have to use for them to operate. I heard my brother talking about the structures that have been put in place with COSAFA Glory and things like that. Well, if you look at our talent today, point at how many can you count? So we are looking at a situation where these devolved functions must help national teams thrive. How do we do it? It's by putting in place structures that support football in provinces. It's a good thing to have devolved functions at provincial level. But can we take modern academies, modern facilities, and our proposal is that we are going to build modern academies. Surely, Mr. Piri, it doesn't take millions of dollars to put up an infrastructure, football infrastructure like that one in Lungu called the Barcelona Academy. Take it to Mongu where our boys are playing in sand. Take it to Mansa.
Are in the process, for example, the DK in Chipata, we've seen...
No, forget about that. That is not an academy. That's an already existing stadium where they have put, and that's another, it's a debate for another day. That's a joke. I don't want to talk about that. Mr. Piri, let me finish this. So when we put in place this kind of infrastructure, and then you invest in what is called football scouting, which has been overlooked. It is a critical football department. You have 5-6 scouts trained in Europe or elsewhere, sponsored by FAS. Hire them on either full-time or part-time basis. They are present at provincial level, whose role is simply to mop up talent. Now, when they go to the academy, they find properly badged coaches trained by FAS, sent to Europe. They go to make sure that they have got coaching licenses. These legends that have been overlooked can be sent to Mongu, can be sent to Monze, also Solwezi, can be sent to Chipata. They are there, one, to teach these young kids how to trap the ball, how to head, how to dribble, because that should not be Mr. Avram Grant's job. It would be unfair for me to tell Mr. Avram Grant, say, come to Luapula, where I'm coming from, to choose players there. There is raw talent. What is he going to get out of there? So when you have a proper structure that supports development of football, it will be easier for me to go to Chisimbewe, the under-20 coach, to tell him to say, Mr. Chisimbewe, pick players from Kawambwa, my hometown, because there these scouts are trained. They know who is capable of being a defender. They go through a mill. Now we are not going to have a situation where a club that is at the bottom of the table is the one that is contributing players to the under-17 national team. Here, these are called football cartels. You've got 1 or 2 clubs that are the only ones that are dominating these junior teams. What about clubs in Luapula? What about clubs in Western Province, clubs in Southern Province, clubs in Central Province? Where are they? You can't blame them. You can't blame these clubs that are dominating the junior national teams. They have invested in infrastructure. They are able to afford a good coach. What about clubs in Luapula? You know what these guys do, for example, their role is simply to write fixtures. They write fixtures, send them to provinces. They must be fulfilled with or without money. And Mr. Piri, you play 38 games. You get nothing. There is no football in Luapula. There is no football in Southern Province. There is no football in Western Province. All they do is just mahala, kwangala, social football, street football. Because how do you start a competition? You have no plan, no financial plan. First of all, you've not given them the money to compete for. The clubs in the Super League are competing for prize money sponsored by MTN. What about the clubs in the lower leagues, in the provincial leagues? Even in the Division 1, a league that ranks second to the Super League doesn't have the money. You all know that Eden University that was sponsoring them walked away from a very toxic relationship because they benefited nothing. So football corporatization has not worked for Zambia. So for me, where I sit, it pains me. And that is the reason why, from this dream, I have had a long-time dream of contributing to my country by helping, giving hope to that young player in Southern Province who today wakes up and says, I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to be a journalist like myself. I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a footballer. I want to be Patson Daka. In Senanga, a player wakes up to be a footballer in the Zambia national team. That's a far-fetched dream. First of all, who is even going to look at him? They're not going to look at him. There's no football in Senanga. So what we want to do under New Faz is to take football there. We don't want any excuse. There's money. FIFA is that parent that pampers his children with a lot of money. You are talking about preparations for the Copper Queens. FIFA sent a whooping 17 million kwacha. Do you know the color of 17 million kwacha? FAS will be able to organize those friendlies because it is mandatory by FIFA. You have to get this money. FIFA sends money for infrastructure. The money they are not even applying correctly because the stadia that you mentioned, for example, the pace at which the works are moving, it's a sorry sight. So my brother, what we want to do is to give a chance for this young player in Mongu, for this young player in Luansa Seluwingu to aspire to be another person, Daka, to aspire to be another fashion Sakala. Today, if you look around, my brother, because the way we harvest talent is bad and we don't have a program and plan for it, you can't count. Look at the English talent. Today you are able to count Phil Ford. Right. You are able to count Marcus Rashford. You are able to count Jadon Sancho. You can, if I ask you, how many of these young boys do you know? Sabobo Banda, you can't even locate him. People are thinking he's going to take over. You can't even, after Patson Daka, we hear rumors that he's going to be leaving the EPL. After he has left, which other Zambian will be there?
All right, Mr. Chikumbi, I know when it comes to football, issues such as that one, do come out, and I like what I'm hearing so far. This time around, let's also engage our viewers. There are some text messages that are coming in via the viewers who are watching. I have emphasized again, it's only text messages, no phone calls. I've seen a lot of people attempting to call me. I'm not going to pick all those calls. All right, there's a text message. Chikumbi, what are you saying? We saw it with Kestas during Karu time, but you never said this in terms of selection of the under-20 teams. Your arrogance will never take you to FA's top position. Please do include your name and also the location where you are sending a text, that particular text. Good evening. My question is why is it that FAS decided to block people like Mr. Chikumbi? What are they afraid of? All right. Please, I'm receiving text messages from anonymous people. Do include your name and where you are sending that message from. All right. This one says, the future of Zambian football is really bright, looking at how the grassroots football is progressing. The problem is not with FAS. The problem is with the mentality of our players. They want to enjoy life faster before they even reach at the top. Okay, our players lack consistency. Let's compare with most European players. For instance, Mbappe, ever since he came on the scene, he has been consistent for the past 5 years. Now tell me any Zambian upcoming footballer who has been consistent for 5 years. MJ from Kawe. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. When you send me that text message, please do include your name and the location. Okay, when is FAS going to hold elections? Anonymous, please do include your names. I'm loving the conversations we are getting so far. All right, where do you think we are missing it in terms of football supremacy from club and national level? Barry Mutapa here. All right, that's Mr. Barry. Those are the conversations coming in. All right, the last one, I'm asking if FAZ has started the process of convincing Jadeo Katongo to be part of our national team, because this is the right time. Moses from Makeni. Thank you so much. You can participate. The number is there on the screen, 0974 47 0925. Thank you so much. Keep those text messages coming in. For now, I'll allow the panelists to respond. There was an attack for you. Is it an attack or that you would like to respond? Yes.
By arrogance.
Yes.
Testers. I didn't notice if it happened. If it happened, it was wrong. You can't have a single club dominating the national team. But like I must emphasize that I didn't notice it. I'm so blunt and I can say it, but I never saw it. Maybe the person that sent that text message should have cited examples. Because I mean, I've seen a club that is at the bottom of the log in Division 1 contributing 5 players to the junior team. So if it happened, yes, it is wrong.
All right.
It shouldn't have been.
Wow, just to chip in, Zambia is playing tomorrow, 18 hours. Have you ever wondered why Atletico Madrid is not playing? Because
Atletico Madrid?
Is it Atletico Lusaka, sorry. The reason why Atletico Lusaka is not playing and they have accumulated games in hand, because according to our constitution, when you contribute more than 5 players or 5 players and above to the national team, your league matches have to be postponed. And if you look at where Atletico Lusaka is sitting, they are just above Lusaka Dynamos, which is heading to provincial football. And the team hasn't performed well. And they have about 4 to 5 players in the national team which will be playing tomorrow against Benin. I think that's what Chikumbi is saying. In as much as we'd want to disagree with him, but again, it's important to look at things realistically. You know, he has mentioned a lot of things, and among them is, you know, the academies. Our football is on SuperSport. And most of the, especially this rain season, because I cannot risk myself going to the stadium looking at the kind of the weather that we are receiving. So instead, we are watching games on SuperSport. And what is heartbreaking for people like me, who is a journalist, is to watch football on SuperSport. Zesco is playing against Power Dynamos, and there is a bad throw. And that is, you know, a Premier League. If you look at, you know, Zesco, it's a brand in the Zambian football. Power Dynamos, it's a brand in the Zambian football. Why should Zesco United and Power Dynamos have players that do not know how to make good throw-ins? The problem is at the academy, because they were supposed to be taught from there. So when you've got Super League teams, you've got number 1 and number 6 having players who cannot throw the ball properly. It means we have a problem at national team, because these are the players that are supposed to go to the national team. Now, if you pick players from Red Arrows who do not know how to make good throw-ins, what do you expect when they meet Ivory Coast?
All right. Okay, gentlemen, it's getting heated. But some of the points you are making, really, I feel these are the dreams that can be collected overdue. For example, I was watching the Beautycon game, which they won in that particular game. I saw almost over 5 handballs, and I was asking myself, is this a Super League? And most of the handballs was happened when a player was trying to trap a ball, you know, and it hits the hand.
So why should the player playing in the Super League, the game is on TV, the whole world is watching, and he fails to trap the ball? If this is a player who traps the ball and in the process the ball hits his hand, you know, and what do you expect when that player is called to the national team and you are playing Lesotho?
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking at the academies, of course, the issues of academies we've talked about is several times that we need more academies in Zambia. And but of course, Mr. Chikumbi here has talked about the importance of them as well, because when you look at the text messages, there was one of them actually talked about the K-Stars and having them, they were contributing a lot of players actually to the national team at that junior level. Of course, I do remember those days. But
we had even Chipalamba also.
Yes, Chipalamba as well, because you talked about the cartel and everything. If you look at these two clubs, K-Stars, of course, owned by Karusha Bwalia, Chipalamba, I think, owned by the late president of Zambia, Mr. Rupia Bwezani Banda, I think. So I think it was coming from the influence of these owners of these academies, and that's the reason why a number of players came from the same two academies. But in the moment we are going to have a lot of academies, then maybe that's when we are going to
it's possible
to have a fair, a fair selection of players, because we are looking at quality. Like you're talking about people, failing to put those good throw-ins because they haven't been through an academy. So it's important that Atletico Lusaka, many players are coming from Atletico Lusaka.
Is that
because yes, because we don't have many academies. We don't have,
but we've got
players that are tutored well. Kafue Celtic?
Yes.
Like serious? No.
Is Kafue Celtic an academy?
Yeah, it's not even.
It's not an academy. That is a football club.
Yeah. So the bottom line is that we need more academies, and I'm happy that Mr. Chikumbi is talking about having those provincial offices active, so that we can also build academies in these 10 provinces of Zambia.
All right. Mr. Chikumbi, yours, when you are elected to power, how long will it take you? Because this, it seems there's a generation which has been messed up already, and it seems we have to build from the grassroots. Would be one term enough for you to change the complexion of Zambian football?
If Mr. Kamanga can aspire to build or rehabilitate 4 stadia in one lot, what can make us fail to build low-budget academies like the Barcelona Academy there? But one other thing that I want to mention here, my brother, due to time, in the interest of time, because I wouldn't want to leave this platform without sharing this. This has pained me, because my big brother premised his campaign in 2016 on the league delinkage. Are you aware that today we are grappling with the same problem? What is it that FAS wants for them to cling to the Zambian league? What is corporatization of the league? We heard after he won that FAS had appointed a gentleman called David Den, a pioneer of the Premier League in England, and he was going to do the job pro bono for FAS to delink the league completely. What do we mean? FAS should never be near the clubs. The reason is simple. The clubs can run themselves. Today, most of the clubs, my brother, Mr. Piri, are owned by the government of the Republic of Zambia. Talk about Green Eagles, Green Buffaloes, Forest Rangers, Green Prison Leopards, Cabo Warriors. You can mention in quotes, these are government clubs. Today, if government said, no, we don't want to be sponsoring clubs, and we are pulling out, football is going to crumble. Now, what we are proposing is that, can these clubs form a corporate entity called the Zambia Super League Corporation Limited, whose true commercial value can be measured by global auditing and business firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte. This can give you a true commercial value of a club. Today, if you went to FAS, do they even generate annual financial reports on the market value of the league, so that you invite top dollar billionaires to put money? So now, when you have a corporate entity, a private company to run the league, the clubs come together, own shares. They are shareholders in this company, a private company. They appoint a chief executive officer to begin running this club, and then they run what is called, a capital intensive, strategy to try and beam a spotlight. On it, you find that there will be billionaires coming to invest in football, because football is a product-led, sport, meaning football must be packaged as a product to attract sponsors. Currently, our football is viewed as a charity or a funeral where you contribute money and expect nothing in return. That is the reason why my big brother has not been able to attract a single sponsor to football today. Today as we speak, MTN, who left MTN? Kalusha Wada. Was he a corporate guru? No. Supersport, who left it? Kalusha Wada. Absa, who left it? Kalusha Wada. Where are the new...
improved the deals.
Yes, he's improved the deals. Who signed this same deal? Because when you have a contract, my brother, you have clauses in there to say this can be triggered to improve it. So depending on how the contract runs, for the next 2 years, the money will be like this. But after this, we can renew this deal and increase it. So the most important, yes, he can improve it. But we are looking at what about other sponsors. Why is it that we can't have a sponsor in Division 1, for example? We can't have a sponsor in the provincial leagues, for example. Why should teams be struggling to fulfill the fixtures? My brother, where I'm coming from, you can cry. Teams have to struggle to go and fulfill their fixtures. They have to beg, like you have to contribute to a funeral with a begging boy in markets. Help us with a 2 quarters, want to hire, a pickup to take the team somewhere, and it is in the rain season. You've seen of late, I think you've seen that teams have even been involved in accidents trying to go and fulfill a fixture. And most of these fixtures, 38 of them that are imposed on the teams by FAS, are not even fulfilled because teams do not have the money. But when you put in place structures like the ones that I'm talking about, these teams will have the money. These teams will have the financial capacity. Earning power will increase by leaps and bounds because FAS has increased the earning, has put in place structures that support football development, that actually increases the commercial power of the teams in the provinces. That is what is coming. The football league, the Zambia Super League, must be delinked from FAS. But they are scared. They are petrified to walk away from the league and focus on the national team.
Does that involve money to delink?
It doesn't involve money. What money is involved in there? All you do is wake up, set up a company, because you've got the money. The Super League teams are richer than the lower league teams. First of all, they are already benefiting from the corporate sponsorship of Supersport. Supersport is giving the teams about, I think, $30,000 plus. MTN will give them money. When they participate, for example, in the ABSA, they'll get some money, plus they get takings. You get the point? And then teams must also corporatize. I do not agree, for example, here on this platform, I'll be honest with you. Why the English Premier League is the most valuable league in the world is because of the so many deals that are there. You cannot find, for example, are you aware that Highbury Stadium was just renamed as Emirates Stadium? Because after an airline company that gave them a 10-year deal and gave them millions of dollars. Are you aware that the Manchester City Stadium was renamed as the Etihad Stadium because an airline gave them a lot of money? Why should you have a stadium called Kalampa in this era and age? You won 13 titles, but you're struggling not to have money. Forget about what fans will think. Give that stadium to Trade Kingsmen. Let them brand it in their colors and give you the money so that you can participate in the Champions League. Are you not embarrassed that a Super League side like Nkana can begin begging from maybe a politician to give them money so that they can go and fulfill a fixture in Angola? Are you not ashamed? Are we not ashamed that today government dominates the ownership of the clubs and we only have very few individuals like Keith Mwemba who owns Muza and is spending a lot of family money to sustain that club? Are you not ashamed that Beautycon today is even headed now? They are